Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on one thing, single barrels. Best of all, you can try before you buy. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution so you know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and who from the industry may be coming in to visit. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers traveling minibars that are no bigger than a small purse or toiletry bag. Best of all, they are fully customizable so you can create the perfect piece that is unique for you. If you own your own business, what a fun and unique way to promote what you do. Check them out online at thebartogo.com. That is the number 2 in the Bar to Go. If you have wholesale questions, call my friend Isabel Clark at 504-481-1297. Finally, we are sponsored by the Neely Family Distillery. NFD is a family-owned business that keeps ringing up awards in the spirits world. Head to Sparta, Kentucky to experience the family history, award-winning spirits, and meet the Neely family. Check them out online at neelyfamilydistillery.com. Now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we celebrate 25 years of the Bourbon Trail. My name is Miss Beka Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, as well as our special guests, Von Nieters, Luke Otero, and Darren McRoy.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey, y'all.
Hey, everybody.
Yep. In 1999, he was on a hot text there. He had just woke up for it. So in 1999, the KDA launched the Bourbon Trail. I think it changed whiskey in a very positive way, and we'll talk about that after the break. So this is the 25th year of that happening, and certainly caught my attention and probably leads to this show being on the air today, and we'll talk about why that happens and all that and what it means to each of us. We'll get to that after the break, though. For right now, Darren said there's something he wanted to talk about. What is that, sir?
So the other day at the shop, we had MB Rollin there. And they had a bunch of donuts. And so it made me think of this question. If you walk into a place and they're like, hey, there's donuts over there, go grab a donut. And there's just all sorts of donuts. What are you going for? What is your go-to at a donut smorgasbord?
This was the question that you had that was just like...
Yes, it's been killing me.
It was
I honestly couldn't sleep last night because of it.
Okay.
He tried to get it on the first 2 shows because he said he had a good one.
He's like, I have a very important question.
Right.
Very important.
I think what type of donut you take says a lot about you.
What are the options?
Well, a donut
anything?
shop.
It's a smorgasbord.
Anything at the donut shop.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Would be your first pick.
Because if it's not there, you would like it to be there. So what is your favorite type of donut, I think, is ultimately the question.
Yeah, with more flavor than that, that's a boring small talk question.
Oh.
What time of day?
Morning.
Donut time.
Can I have cold pizza instead?
No, you have to have the donuts, and it's a weird. Donuts is a weird thing to eat, and sometimes you do grab them. I used to work corporate, and there'd be extra ones sitting around. You might grab one in the afternoon, but for the most part, donuts probably 90% or more are consumed between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. local time, wherever you're at. I would say. I don't know for sure.
Want one.
Well, that's you.
I don't like sweets in the morning. Well, I don't like sweets.
So you just don't like donuts at all. So no donuts.
I do though.
Okay, so what if there was a donut? What fucking donut would you eat?
Why
do you guys do this?
I know.
I want a glazed.
I don't really think I feel
donut.
like having a donut right now, Steve. I don't really want one right this second.
No,
I have no idea.
I'd eat one right now, but not in the morning.
Okay.
Right now, if there was donuts.
What?
Darren said this morning. You were on your phone.
I heard him. But it doesn't matter. Just what fucking donut would you eat?
Yeah,
this
I
is
would
a
like
pressing matter for Darren. This means a lot to Darren.
This means a lot to Darren, apparently.
Yeah,
Darren.
you're just keeping me waiting, you rude asshole.
Darren, I want a fresh glazed donut from Krispy Kreme. That's what I want.
That
Those are
long
good.
to say that basic answer?
Yep.
Those are good, but it feels like I could accidentally eat 100 of those. So they like give you a free one. You just consume it. It's just like gone. It's like
2
melts
bites
in your
It's like,
mouth.
oh.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like
and when they're hot, they feel like they're even less because they're like fluff.
Okay,
Great.
that's a bad answer, but that's his answer, and he's going to keep it. So
What?
yeah. I think I've got an unusual one because I don't. This doesn't seem to be anybody's favorite donut, but mine. I like the donut, and I like the chocolate top. It's like a Long John with a chocolate top that has the cream filling in there, not the custard. Not the custard. A lot of people go for the custard. I like the cream filling.
Hey
And
now.
yeah. God damn it.
Oh,
See,
God.
that explains a lot about people.
So that's the donut I like, and the donut stop.
What
sells
type of
those.
cream filling, though, Steve?
It's like elevated. The closest thing I could say is like elevated, like a Twinkie cream. It's that sort of cream.
Not
It's
like the Boston cream.
It's not the Boston
No,
cream. It's
he's
not the
talking
custard.
about like an eclair.
I know this is a donut. It's a cream filled donut. It's
kind of like fluffy, like light and
yeah,
fluffy.
kind of fluff,
It's
light
like a
and fluffy,
marshmallow
yeah.
fluff
It's-
almost.
And maybe it's just a St. Louis thing, but they're at most donut shops in St. Louis. I've noticed. Maybe it's not a nationwide thing. I went one time and asked for Dunkin' for because you got the drive-through. As soon as you pull, they got like a million types of donuts. They have like 40 or 50 kinds of donuts, and as soon as you get there, like, can I help you? What do you want? I'm like, I just got here. Well, we need to get your order. It's a long line. So I said, I'll take a cream-filled Long John. We don't do that. I'm like, okay,
let
every
me read
donut
the
shop
damn
here
menu.
does it in St. Louis, but you guys, that's fine.
Well, that's
That's
fine.
fine.
You want the Dunkin'.
Yeah, exactly. I don't. Yeah, exactly. So that's the problem. I don't go to Dunkin' anymore. So after
Dunkin'.
that incident, Dunkin'.
Dunkin's
Smart.
And everybody loves their coffee. By the way, their coffee sucks.
Dunkin' sucks.
Why do people love Dunkin'
Their
Donuts
coffee's
coffee?
better.
It's
Dunkin'
terrible.
sucks.
Their
I
coffee's
don't.
better than their donuts, though.
Maybe,
I will give them that.
but that's not saying
There's
much.
nothing good at Dunkin'.
Right.
Hash browns. They got good hash browns.
Who goes to Dunkin'?
Yeah,
They
I'm
mic-
actually
they
go there and
microwave
just order
everything.
hash browns
They
at 7
microwave
o'clock
all
at night
that
so
shit.
you don't eat donuts in the morning.
One time I got a sandwich there, and it's the weird thing in microwaves, like there's you bite into one thing, it's like the hottest molten lava, and then the next bite you take, it's kind of still frozen. That's the sandwich that they gave me. I'm like, this has to be microwaved. That's the only way a cook like that can happen. Yeah, so it's the cream-filled Long John. Sometimes they come in more of the circle shape too. It just depends on the donut shop that you go to.
I hate
but-
those ones.
All right.
Those are the ones that I think are custard,
I
and
know
you
that
bite
this is
into
only
it.
what Evan
I
likes.
love, yeah.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
There's a guy who doesn't even like donuts. Can't even answer the question because he doesn't eat donuts.
Well, I don't
No,
like
I'm
your
giving it
now,
a
donut
one.
selection.
now he's going to weigh in on everyone's, Becca.
Yes.
Now he's going to evaluate your even though it's not his question. He never eats donuts.
I'm going to rate everyone's answer now.
Yeah,
Great.
So
mine's
Darren,
the best kind.
Darren, I was at this donut shop in Yountville, California, and they had a peanut butter and grape jelly donut, and it was incredible.
Really?
Yeah,
Sounds
that
good.
sounds yummy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like an Uncrustable, but like
Has
for
anybody
adults.
ever been to like the ultimate place? And I have been there. Voodoo Donuts. Anybody?
I've
been there
never
besides-
been, but
Yeah.
I
They kinda-
would.
They're great. They are great, but they also kind of ruin donuts because now that you go to donut shops and stuff like that, and donuts used to be like 3 for $1, or and everywhere, all donut shops, and then Voodoo Donuts comes out, and now you go to donut shops and they're like $7 a piece, and it's like, what happened?
Well,
what happened to
Can
donuts?
we also say that like I don't need like I don't need my donut
Captain
to have
Crunch peanut
like,
butter with bacon.
Well, I don't
and-
need like 5 feet of things on top of my
Right?
donut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to
exactly.
be like trying to bite my
It's
donut
not a
on the
donut
like,
anymore.
Yeah.
like going to work and it's like stuff is falling off or like
Right.
my face is covered
It's
in
a
donuts.
small hand food.
I just
It's
want
meant to be
That's
consumed.
why I like donuts.
What are we doing? Like the cookie industry is doing the same thing. They're throwing they're opening up all these stupid boutique cookie places and throwing a bunch of shit on these cookies.
Right.
No.
Well, and you know why? Because it's a cheap product to make that they then can elevate in price. At least they think. But again, it kind of works, I guess. People are buying the cookies and they buy the
I
donuts.
say those cookie places aren't hurting for business, so
Right.
No,
Yeah,
it's
those
just
places are
too much.
crumble.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah. Luke, what's your favorite type of
Yeah,
donut?
his was the peanut butter
PB&J.
jelly one.
Oh, peanut.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
the favorite one.
It's they shoot grape
Peanut butter
jelly,
and jelly.
peanut butter in
Yeah.
it. So it's not messy, and it's just like you're eating a.
Okay.
Peanut butter jelly.
That donut costs $7, I know.
Which
I
a
don't even know what
good-
shop this is. It costs $7. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
A good peanut butter and jelly is really good.
It is
So,
really good.
Wow.
Yeah. This has the potential.
Yeah.
I'll take Luke's word for it.
I like
'cause, and by the way, the taste of some of those $7 donuts are very good, or $5 donuts or whatever. I'm not complaining about it. It's just that they've elevated the price, and then even your small mom and pop donut shops are trying to elevate their stuff in some way. They're like, oh, look at this, it's got this on there, and like,
It's like, no.
just give me some
Yeah,
donuts.
if I was going to apply Darren's smorgasbord of every donut, that would be the one I would go to. Is
Okay.
if there was a peanut butter.
They're all there. That's the one that you're going to grab. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that crunchy or smooth peanut butter?
It
Probably
was smooth.
I would guess.
I was gonna say that'd be hard to pump in with crunchy peanut butter.
Right.
Hey
Machine.
now, hey now. All right, Becca, how about you?
My biggest thing with donuts is that they're not old donuts. Like, there is nothing worse than like getting donuts and they're like dried out.
Right. Oh
Like,
yeah.
Like, I want
The next day, if some are left over, just throw them away. You're not going to eat them the next day. They're terrible.
I want to go to like one of the local grocery stores in the morning when they've just made the donuts and they're like almost still warm, even like they're
Right.
so fresh.
Mhm.
And I will want a regular glazed or a frosted one, like the dip just on top. Either like I like the vanilla, just like the white icing, or I like the chocolate. It's honestly like I think I like the white icing better, which I like chocolate better than I like vanilla. But with that, the vanilla just tastes classic, and that thing is still like nice and like moist.
Hey now, hey now.
And like that's just like a good fresh donut, almost regardless of what kind it is going to be the best. But those ones that are like meant to be dry and like crumbly, I don't want a fucking crumbly donut.
No.
That's why we don't go to Dunkin'.
Yeah, there we go. The one intelligent thing that Evan said all night.
Yes.
You're first.
Yeah. All right, Darren, you asked the question. What is the donut of choice for you?
So a second would be just a regular chocolate long john. That's acceptable to the jury. But I love a chocolate long john with sprinkles.
Yeah.
With
There's a little bit of sprinkles, and they make them festive colors sometimes, and they look nice. And there is nothing wrong with that donut.
Also, a bear claw is good.
Right.
I've got a whole list here of donuts. I was like looking up donuts. The apple fritter is good as long as it's fresh.
Sure.
But you also have to be in the mood for an apple fritter. The Long Johns, a maple bar, a glazed twist, a cinnamon twist, a bear claw, maple bacon bar,
Those are good.
buttermilk, strawberry frosted, and old fashioned is one of the ones that's kind of like
Yeah.
like crumbly. They're not
Yeah.
necessarily dry, but they're crumbly. A croissant donut or a
I don't know
cronut.
that.
I like those.
Do you?
Yeah.
A cronut?
A coconut donut, jelly filled, sugar, chocolate frosted, glazed, spud nut, which is I think
spud
sprinkles
nut.
and nuts. Devil's food cake, Boston cream, a baked one. I don't even know what just baked means, but a French
I don't
cruller,
know baked donut.
vanilla
cooler.
frosted, an ube, crumb
Ube.
cake, blueberry cake.
Blueberry
donuts.
cake donuts are delicious, especially the ones that you can get at Schnucks. And then if you microwave them for 10 seconds, they're perfect. Ate a
Well,
lot of
I
those on
shouldn't
my
have to
breaks
do
at
that.
Schnucks.
Shouldn't have to
Should
do
be
that.
free one.
Yeah.
And
That's when it's still moist.
donut holes.
Donut holes.
Ooh, donut hole.
Those can, if you catch those at the right time, yeah.
Exactly.
that's
It's
good.
like it's all about timing. So Evan showing up at fucking 7:00 at night.
Right.
No wonder he doesn't like donuts. They all fucking suck at 7:00 at
It's
night.
true.
That's why you got to go to Krispy Kreme when the light's on. That's why I like it.
Krispy Kreme. Also not good, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have
Those
you
are
ever
weak
had
donuts.
another donut there besides the hot glaze that you're like, oh, that's edible? And
No.
because the hot glaze, I agree. You can sit down and eat a case of those
Yeah.
rather easily.
That's
They
all.
just
That's
kinda
all you
miss
go
it.
there for. That's it.
It feels like you could get a dozen of
Look at
those,
those
stack
things.
them on top of one another, squish them down a little bit, and then just eat a dozen.
Hey, you could. You ever get
Be
the
one
burger with
donut.
those as buns? They have it over at the Grizzly Stadium.
I've got that. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good.
It's actually good. But, yeah.
It's good.
So there you go. There's a little bit about donuts. So it was not without controversy, thanks to Von Nieters. So, yeah. What is everyone drinking? Let's start this time with Miss Beka Sue. Miss Beka Sue, what do you got?
I've got a little Old Forester, the 117 series, High Angel Share. Signed by Melissa.
Okay, that's cool.
A gift shop only
375 bottle. Yeah. Wow, that's explosive for a small bottle.
Ooh.
That was good. That was good. I'll go next. I got New Riff Single Malt. I don't even know where I bought this bottle at. Maybe I stole it from somebody. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I got this one. I honestly don't know. No clue. Usually I'll remember where I got a bottle from. I don't remember ever buying New Riff Single Malt. I have no idea how this happened. So let's see. That was okay. Okay's not going to win this thing after that cork pop Beka had. So she's definitely still got the lead. Next up is Von Nieters.
I have a bottle of MB Roland malt whiskey.
Okay. That was solid, but also second place. Royce is there. Royce, what kind of donut do you like? If you had to pick out one type of donut, what would it be?
Oh, I like the with the chocolate on the top and custard filled.
Custard filled.
He
Okay.
also likes the cream filled, Steve.
Oh, so yeah.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
There is a
Yeah,
difference
you
between the
you
custard
and
and the cream.
Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. Royce and I, there you go.
That's the cream.
The Glimmer Twins, as we're known, Royce and I. So that puts us in good company. We know who the Glimmer Twins are, right? That's Darren has no idea. It's Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. That's how when they write a song together, they just put the Glimmer Twins. So so that's Royce and I may be taking. Those guys are pretty old, so Royce and I may be taking that over.
You
So,
might have to, yeah.
Yeah. That's that nickname's now opening up soon. So yeah. All right, Darren, you're next. What do you got?
I cannot beat Becca's cork pop, and so I'm not even going to try. I'm going to have some Dark Arts from the sample bottle from
Sample bottle of Dark
flagship
Arts
whiskey
Okay.
event.
Gosh,
It is the French oak stave finish.
Dark Arts is interesting to me because we had a pick. And that was my first taste of it going there and stuff like that. And it was very good. And people that sold quick that barrel pick, and people have been on our ass to get more in after. So Dark Arts, Macaulay's done a good job of creating excitement and enthusiasm for a brand. That's not easy to do. Whatever, and I don't even know exactly how he does it, and he might not even know exactly how he's been able to do it. I mean, starting out with great whiskey is a good start, right?
Yeah.
So that's always a good thing. But yeah, it's still there's a lot of good whiskey out there that gets overlooked, and he's done a good job of creating enthusiasm and excitement for a brand. So that's cool. Good on him. All right, Luke, you're last but not least. Becca's got her lead. What do you got?
I've got a single barrel from Buzzard's Roost. Store pick, one of Lucas's.
Okay, Luke, that was also very solid, but it's not going to be enough. You're just not going to get there. You just didn't quite make it. You were looking good, but Becca clearly had it. So cheers to Becca.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. We'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking about 25 years of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. We'll do that in just a few. Okay, let's talk about the people that make these shows happen. First up is the Stave and Thief Society. Via their in-person class at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, the Stave and Thief Society is the place where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge an executive bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my executive bourbon steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Speaking of executive bourbon steward certification, the ABV Barrel Shop in St. Louis, Missouri has developed a unique partnership with the Stave and Thief Society to offer a preparatory class to assist you in getting your executive bourbon steward certification. This prep class costs only $25 and is available to take live or online via Zoom. Graduates of our class receive a coupon code good for 15% off your executive bourbon steward certification held in Louisville, Kentucky. This saves you almost $90. Additionally, you can collaborate with fellow attendees to split travel costs when you go to Louisville. If you're interested in signing up for the class, simply head over to abvbarrelshop.com and check out the classes and events page. Last but not least, we are sponsored by Neely Family Distillery. Royce Neely is the 11th generation distiller in one of America's oldest distilling families. A visit to Neely Family Distillery takes you through family history, where you can see all the artifacts and newspaper clippings through the years from this family that started distilling in America after James Neely arrived from Northern Ireland in 1740. Today, Royce Neely and his team are crafting some of the best spirits in America. Their bourbon and absinthe offerings keep winning top honors in the spirits competitions. Recently, their absinthe made history as the first platinum winner in the absinthe category at the San Francisco Spirits Competition. Neely Family Distillery is definitely a bucket list destination if you are a bourbon fan. Learn more about their spirit offerings, visiting their facility, and the awards they have collected over at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com. And now, back to the show.
This is Katie Proof, and you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about 25 years of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail.
Yes, we are. So the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, again, launched in 1999. I read an article about it in USA Today, and I thought, this sounds cool. They have a bourbon trail. It's unbelievable. I love bourbon, and I'd like to go learn more about it. And began planning immediately to go there. It would take me to the next year. 2000 was the first time I went and decided we were going to do the Bourbon Trail. Me, the warden, and the kid, as we just call her on here, the kid. The three of us went and did a weekend trip and went and we completed the Bourbon Trail. At that time, it was 7 distilleries, including Buffalo Trace, by the way. Buffalo Trace was one of the 7 on there. They were brand new, by the way, at that point. So it was very new for them. It was so great because there, in some instances, some of them had it buttoned down a little bit where they had, tours already, like Maker's Mark is always ahead of the game, and they had a nice tour and stuff like that. But when we went to Four Roses, they really didn't even have a tour or anything. It's like they called a lady, and she then showed us around. It ended up being the three of us, me, Kat, and the warden, and the kid, I should say, and the warden, and the three of us go on this tour with 2 other people. And one of the coolest things, and again, this tour changed my the whole thing, the experience changed my life. But Four Roses being a standout, because at that time, Four Roses was not for sale in the United States. You couldn't get that stuff, so it was very rare to be able to go there. You got to taste it at the distillery, which was cool. But one of the things that I thought was really cool was they opened up the high wine box. The lady got a key and filled a whole glass. And it's just like, you guys can nose that. You can drink it, whatever you want to do with it. So I drank a bunch of, Four Roses, White Dog, basically. And I thought that was the coolest thing. I mean, you talk about hands-on, and all of them kind of had, did something. But this was just kind of just felt like she just let you do it. She had to get a key out and all that, and it was cool. And so at that point, I'm smitten with bourbon, and things change. I go from just a casual bourbon drinker to becoming a bit of a bourbon fanatic after that. So that's kind of how the Bourbon Trail has impacted me. It turns me into, like I said, leads me to where I'm at today. That visit was very key for me. Getting to go to the distillery, see how they make the things, talk to people, meet some of the people, meet Al Young, which, I had no idea about how important Al Young is at that time or anything like that. But, it's kind of ends up being a cool thing that, a great memory of meeting that guy and then going to Four Roses and just, shopping their stuff and tasting it. And it was cool.
Oh, how things progressed.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, where were we at now? Over 46 distilleries?
Yeah, like 46 distilleries on there.
Yeah.
You're not doing it in a weekend anymore. There ain't no way. So, yeah. And, it was a big thing, and they break records every year with the exception being COVID. COVID's always you just throw out COVID. Yeah. Throw out COVID. But if you throw COVID out, which you should, you look at they rise in visitors and people every year since 1999 when it was launched. So that's cool. What about you guys? What has it meant to you guys, the Bourbon Trail?
No, I like you. I went early, and there was less than, I think, 7 or 8 at the time, Steve. And to see where it has evolved to now, it's kind of cool because it has a lot of growing pains and there's probably a lot of things that they can improve on.
Right.
But to have a vehicle that's promoting, hopefully, the entire bourbon industry is good for all of us.
Right. Right.
Did you have your company yet, Luke? Were you
No.
distributing it?
No.
What
We
year did
didn't.
you start that?
We started that in 2010. I was just, like Steve, a bourbon. I like Wild Turkey, Jim Beam back in the day, and we were there. So.
And it made national news from the beginning. That's how both Luke and I assume. I don't know Luke's story, but
I remember that. Yeah. I remember that USA Today article.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
I do too.
So rude.
You weren't even alive yet.
Yeah,
I was alive.
Actually,
Bourbon Trail is huge for the bourbon world. Like, we had people in from the shop today that had just been on the Bourbon Trail for the first time, and they were talking about how amazing it is.
Right.
But I think it is the second most important thing to whiskey that year that happened. But
what's the biggest thing in '99?
I was being born, so
oh God, this is where we went.
And a close third is the start of Leopold Brothers Distilling. But
they're from '99.
They are. But Kentucky Derby not Kentucky Derby. The Bourbon Trail is just awesome. Everyone that goes there enjoys themselves. It's not a thing that, they could do some stuff better, but no one's like, I'm never doing that again. Especially now that it's so big. They're like, oh, we can come back and do the other thirds, 3 other trips, and then keep going and stuff. I think that's what really helped. I know we weren't quite there yet in '99 when it started, but that started laying a lot of the groundwork to pull bourbon out of the sinkhole that it was in for a while. And having a place to go visit and having a whole tourism industry built around it and giving people experiences where they get to drink out of the spirit safe or where they get to go through all these tastings and memories really helped form that initial connection to get to where bourbon is today, where more than like most people that you talk to either
I think a lot of it does happen because of that. You start once people come and visit and they go to the distilleries and they've invested their money and their time, that changes how they are as bourbon fans. So that creates a whole different generation of people, and it's all because of the Bourbon Trail. And certainly other states have tried to mirror that. And, other states try to mirror everything Kentucky does when it comes to bourbon, and they can't. Missouri has one. Pretty much every state that has distilleries, and they all do, either have it or they probably want to have some sort of trail tying things together. It's not an easy thing to do. That's where, again, the KDA is just a notch above anybody else out there. There's no comparison to the KDA and what they do. And it's unbelievable for tourism and stuff like that. So the Bourbon Trail ends up being a huge thing for bourbon. So
yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say that when I first heard about the Bourbon Trail, I assumed it was that all the distilleries were like right next to each other.
Right.
That was me too.
Exactly.
I thought it was like
cool,
road of like all the distilleries.
Almost like what Whiskey Row would be today. Like if that was all the
that's
Bourbon
like
Trail.
what I thought it was,
yeah.
but like longer because they're big distilleries.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't realize that or at least it was like all around like Louisville or all around like Bardstown or something. I didn't realize that it spanned the entire state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What were you going to say, Evan?
Actually, that now that you say that, I was actually the same when I first found out about the Bourbon Trail, and I was just gonna say that you guys kind of touched on it. For me, I mean, I haven't been in the bourbon world very long, and so what kind of opened me up to it was, going to Kentucky and visiting distilleries, and that's what really, started my bourbon journey and really getting into things. And I think that, all along those 25 years, I can't imagine how many people that it's drawn into bourbon that were just casual drinkers of it, or not even drinkers at all, that just, fell in love with it with all the history and just going to each distillery and learning all the differences, it's crazy.
Yeah. I will say this: it's funny because my daughter completed the Bourbon Trail in 2000 at the age of 3, which I thought I was setting this up. What I ultimately wanted to happen by incorporating her into all the bourbon travel that we did and things like that was ultimately I wanted her as an adult to be a bourbon fan, to be around it, and her whole life was spent around bourbon, and it didn't happen for one reason or another. It didn't happen. She doesn't like bourbon and whiskey. She's a great kid. So if that's the worst thing that is involved, I guess it is what it is. But yeah, it's one of I tried to do what I could to make that happen, and it just didn't work out for me. So yeah.
Tried at least.
Yeah. The one most interesting thing about the Bourbon Trail is, though, to me, and I'm talking about the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, the real Bourbon Trail here. One of the most interesting things to me is, I talked about it when I talked about going and visiting the first 7 distilleries, Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace was part of the Bourbon Trail. I think most people don't know that. They've forgotten that if they did. Buffalo Trace was part of that. They were part of the original 7. And then after they buy Barton, things kind of fall out a little bit between the KDA and Buffalo Trace, and they pull off of there. They're not on the Bourbon Trail anymore, and it's such a weird thing where you think that somebody's going to lose out of this. When giants fight, there's some big loser. So this is either going to be the end of Buffalo Trace or it's going to be the end of KDA and their Bourbon Trail, because now Buffalo Trace is going to be independent and they're going to try to do their own thing. And the funny thing is, both have thrived. Both have done incredibly well on their own. The KDA has become even bigger, even larger, done more. Obviously, more distilleries are involved. So it's been great in the subsequent years for the KDA, but it's also been great for Buffalo Trace. There's nobody who does a better job of bourbon marketing and things like that. You think, well, they got to do all this stuff on their own now. They don't have the KDA behind them. They've done just fine. Buffalo Trace and they've dedicated themselves to tourism and might do a better job really than anybody else when it comes to a big heritage brand. I get it. A small tour like Neely is actually probably a better experience, but in terms of what the numbers, that wouldn't be sustainable for Royce if suddenly he got the numbers that Buffalo Trace has. He couldn't do it. To have a large scale like they do, I think they do the best job of someone who has to do it on a large scale. It's they're good, and so it's worked out well for both of them. That's a kind of a weird twist to the Bourbon Trail that someone gets off of it and then it's fine. Yeah.
People still think that they are on the Bourbon
Trail. Right? Yeah.
Say your average Joe actually doesn't know that they're not a part of it. They're like, "Oh, we went to the Bourbon Trail." I was like, "Oh, where did you go?" Buffalo Trace is always their first answer, and it's like, right. That's not the Bourbon Trail. Good try though.
Yep. Yeah. They go, "Oh, Buffalo Trace." I'm like, "Oh, you're not gonna get a stamp there."
I wonder how often someone pulls out, I know they're going away from that, but it's still active right now as we speak. The passport, the books, you got to get stamped. I wonder how many people actually pull out and start thumbing through there and be like, where's the Buffalo Trace one? Where?
Yeah, I wonder how many times those poor people in the gift shop are like, we're not on it.
Right.
We're not part of it. And then they've got to explain themselves.
I had one of those. I try to be better now. I learned from this. I try to be better. But I went on there. I'd gone on a Buffalo Trace tour when they were on there. And then the next time I go, fast forwards a few years later, they've dropped off. I'm not involved in bourbon or anything. I'm not doing podcasts or anything. You're talking before 2010. So I'm back there. And now they're off the Bourbon Trail. So someone asked why they're not on the Bourbon Trail. And the tour guide says, well, we're not eligible to be because we are actually headquartered in New Orleans as the parent company of Sazerac. And I said, well, I raised my hand. I said, that's not actually true. You guys used to be on the Bourbon Trail. I was here years ago and I got my passbook stamped when you were on there. That's kind of a dick move, actually, to blow up the tour guides.
You were one of those guys.
I was that guy. I was a bourbon guy. I knew shit.
You were that guy.
Big bourbon guy.
I'm a big bourbon guy.
Big bourbon guy.
Yeah, and I kind of felt bad for that because then I saw the tour guide stumbling around and didn't have an answer because, they were just told to say what they're told to sell and they don't even necessarily know why, they're just doing their job.
And you're over there just fucking them up, Steve.
I know, I totally did.
Jeez.
Was Beam owned by Suntory at that point, Steve? I don't remember when they bought them.
No, they weren't. Okay. They were owned by someone else though. The family had already sold out. It was before going to Suntory though. So yeah.
Becca, Steve was one of those guys on your tour that he knows more than you.
Yeah, oh yeah, I knew it all.
Every single day I find out that I don't know shit about bourbon.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I find out all the time that I don't know a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Thank you for informing me. And there's sometimes where like we get quote unquote corrected, and generally we correct them back. But there's sometimes where you're like, know what?
No.
Have fun.
They're the ones that look
Go
foolish.
on.
Evan Van Scoik had a foolish moment the other day where he talked about he had a standing meeting, and someone, of course, makes a joke. They're making a fucking joke. They're like, why can't you sit down in this meeting? It's like, a standing meeting is actually a meeting that is on the calendar, and it happens regularly on a set basis. So you know, for instance, in this example, every Friday at 12:30, we have the meeting. That is what a standing meeting is. And I just laughed at him, and I said, oh, thank you for mansplaining that to all of us. And he's like, I just told you what it is. That's not mansplaining. Yes, that is perfectly the example of mansplaining. When everyone in that place knows exactly what that definition is, and you go through the whole thing, that is the definition of mansplaining. So now you've defined two things for us. So yeah, but he explains it. Yeah, it reminds me back when you watched baseball, and Tim McCarver was like, that's called a foul ball because that ball was hit into the foul territory. Hence it is called a foul ball. We don't need mansplaining. Get rid of the mansplaining.
Thank you for the information. I really appreciate it.
And don't throw off. Don't be like me in early 2000s.
People change, Steve. We evolved.
Yeah, I evolved. I'm a big advocate for not messing up the tour guides. When they're screwing things up, as long as it's not egregious. If it is something that's just terrible, then you can correct them. If they're like, our bottle of Bond comes in at 115 proof, you might want to correct something like that. But if it's just general things, just let them go and do their job. They're doing the best they can. No.
And they were told to say most of the stuff.
Exactly. So they're tour guides. They're not the people making the whiskey. It's different if somebody like Royce had to do that, and he had some things. The guy's making the whiskey. If he's making a mistake, you probably need to correct him because he might just thought of something wrong or something. But a tour guide, they're not the people making the whiskey. They're doing a job. So let them go. Don't be like Steve was in the early 2000s. I'm sure that person hated me. God.
I'm going to get t-shirts made.
Right.
What would Steve do in the early 2000s? And just to keep everyone in line, to keep us from doing it.
Yeah,
if Steve would do this in the early 2000s, then do not do it yourself.
Would early 2000s Steves do this? Ask yourself. So yeah.
If he would, then don't do it.
Then don't do it. Because I don't anymore. Don't do it.
You know it's a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Von Nieters, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Von Nieters.
Darren?
You can find me at the ABV Barrel Shop and also on Instagram at the Bourbon Adventures.
Luke?
You can find me on LinkedIn and also at Santa Fe Boutique Wines on Instagram.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's going to be abvnetwork.com. You're going to have to check that one out because everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. Come by and see us, the ABV Barrel Shop. We're always getting in new barrel picks. And kind of how it lines out the rest of the year, I'm thinking we'll probably on average get one or two a week throughout the rest of 2024. That may change where it's 0 in 1 week, 8 in another. That stuff happens. We can't control the flow of how the whiskey comes in. So, but yeah, there's going to be plenty of barrel picks coming up, and we're going to finish the year strong, so it should be good. So check us out online, abvbarrelshop.com. Miss Beka Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd first like to let everyone know that you can find me on Twitter and Facebook, or Twitter and Instagram at Miss Beka Sue 1K.
Did I skip you? No. I think you forgot. I think you said your plugs and then forgot.
What would Steve Akeley do in the early 2000s? Stop right now. But I would also like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. Fridays, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Later.
Bye, y'all.
Before we let you go, let's talk about one last thing. The ABV Barrel Shop in the St. Louis community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on a couple of things. First of all, single barrels. We are the place where single barrels live. We go to distilleries, taste through the whiskey, select the best barrel, and have it shipped to our store where we present it to you, our customers, by allowing you to try before you buy. We're also known for the classes that we have in our education center in the store, as well as the events we have with industry professionals from the bourbon business. If you are in the St. Louis area, please come by and visit us at 6 Fox Valley Center in Arnold, Missouri. Or at a minimum, at least sign up for our email and text distribution so you know exactly what's going on in our shop over at abvbarrelshop.com. This is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, signing off. We thank you for listening to our programming and truly appreciate your support.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.